When I was a kid, there was one moment that I remember really clearly. I was sitting in the sun, reading a book, holding it very close to my face. And at some point I suddenly noticed something strange. I could read perfectly well, without my glasses. And I remember thinking, just for a second, wait, why am I even wearing glasses right now, if I can already see clearly? But that thought didn't last long. Because growing up, I was told very directly, you have to wear your glasses all the time. If you don't, you'll ruin your eyesight. There was no discussion, no let's observe. So I didn't question it. I just put my glasses back on and kept reading. Looking back now, I see that this was actually an important moment. A small insight, but the fear of doing something wrong was stronger, and I let it go. Let's pause here for a second and think together. Glasses for myopia are distance glasses. They're prescribed so you can see clearly far away, usually from about 5 meters and beyond. That's what they're designed for. But reading is near work. It's a completely different visual task. So why do we treat it as totally normal to read while wearing glasses that were never meant for close-up vision? Much later, I found an explanation for this, not just based on how it felt, but also from an ophthalmological point of view. Todd Becker, for example, talks about this in his podcasts. The mechanism itself is actually pretty simple. When you look through lenses that correct your vision for distance, and you use them to look at something close, like a book or a phone, the image doesn't land exactly on the retina. It ends up focusing slightly behind it. In ophthalmology, this is called hyperopic defocus, when the focal point falls behind the retina. And this part is really important. The eye is not passive. It's not just a camera. It constantly adapts to the kind of visual signals it receives most often. So when the eye keeps getting the message that the focus is behind the retina, it starts adapting in that direction. Over time, the eye can slowly elongate. And this is one of the mechanisms through which myopia can progress. Not because the eye is damaged or broken, but because it's doing exactly what biological systems do best, adapting to repeated conditions. And suddenly, that childhood memory made a lot of sense. When I was reading without glasses, in good lighting, my eyes were doing near work in a natural way. There was no extra correction, no constant compensation. My vision wasn't being pushed. It was just working in a way that felt easier and more relaxed. I am not saying that glasses are bad. That's not my point. What I am saying is that reading in distance glasses is a key detail that almost no one talks about. And over time, I started noticing patterns. The more I read in these glasses, the faster my eyes would get tired. My attention would narrow. My vision would feel less stable, less fluid. And this is where things get broader. Vision isn't just about the eyes. It's about attention. It's about the body. It's about how we relate to space, to depth, to our peripheral awareness. When we spend hours reading in a very tight, compressed focus, that way of using our vision doesn't just stay in reading. It slowly transfers into everyday life, into how we look at the world. In the next videos, I want to talk about how to read in a way that doesn't compress your vision. How to involve peripheral awareness instead of forcing focus. And why, very often, relaxation does more for vision than effort ever will. And I am really curious, have you ever noticed something similar? Have you ever tried reading without your glasses and felt a difference? If you have, I'd love for you to share your experience in the comments.